The following podcast is run by a couple of former wheel turners and one pit guy. It's meant for entertainment, not so much information, but sometimes there's some good information. The opinions expressed are just, these are the morons on the show. Not necessarily right, not necessarily wrong, not the views of any of the sponsors or anything like that. So, these guys, they're going to be talking, they might swear here and there, so if that offends you, either grow up or get a little permission from mom and dad.
All right, race fans, episode 241. Bert, we're not going to talk about football, right? It's border battle week. Fuck the Packers. It is what it is. All right. We're not going to go down that road right now. We don't need to talk about that. But episode 241, a lot of racing happened. Season's winding down locally. I mean, there's still a month left, but now we're getting less and less shows. But it's invitational season. And we talked about this, guys, a few weeks ago. It's like, do the invitational still have that vibe? Well, we're going to touch on that in just a minute because there's a few that definitely do. But one of them happened this past week and one of them is happening this coming week. But episode 241, guys, brought to you by Impact Health Sharing. So it's that time of year. People are looking to change their insurances, health coverage for 2025. If you're self-employed, if you got employees, if you're a farmer, heck, if you're an employee and you got to pay for your own health insurance, if you're looking at it and like, man, I got to go to a specific doctor, I'd rather go to this one, but they're in network, might have a solution. If your deductibles are crazy high, might have a solution. If you're paying way too much for something you rarely use, might have a solution. So reach out to me, 218-969-1380. Hit me up on Messenger, however you want to. I have a product called Impact Health Sharing that if you're in pretty good health, especially families, it's really good for families. Been able to save people a ton of money on their healthcare coverage so they can spend it on a lot more fun stuff, right? Like racing and you name it. There's a lot better stuff than giving it to your insurance person out there. And I might be able to help you with that, get you a quick, no obligation quote. So little recap on the weekend. Bert, there was racing in your area. Did you go to any racing or did you watch? I know you watched online, but did you attend anything over the past weekend?
I did not attend any racing. I went to a Brewers game on Friday night.
They're kind of hot right now, aren't they? Or they're winning, aren't they?
Yeah, they clinched their division, so they'll make the playoffs. So it's just a question of who they play. They'll be playing next Tuesday, most likely.
Yeah, Twins probably going to the playoffs too. I think they're going to go watch. They're probably not going to actually play. They're going to go watch some games maybe. That man, not good. So, but the Brew Crew, yeah, they're playing pretty good ball over there in Wisconsin. For you Wisconsin people tuning into the show, Coach Kraus, hockey season. How'd the weekend go? Did you guys win? What happened here this past weekend with hockey?
We won one, we lost one, we split. So we're down at Mason City, Iowa. Played well enough to win both games. That's the big thing. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know how that goes. But it's good to get a split on the road. It's always tough to win on the road. So no, guys we played well. We played well all weekend. So I'm happy about that. Got another game this weekend that we're getting ready for, and before you know it, got to get it home. We had 5 in a row on the road, but now we got to get back at home, get to our home barn.
Record 1-2, is that what it is right now?
That's what we are right now, is 1-2.
All right, you got a little work to do then, a little work to do. I actually went to Sycamore. I brought in a race. I decided, I got to give myself a donkey award. I really do, because I'm going to go to Thunder Bay for their special or sometime during the year, and everybody I talked to said it was freaking awesome, and I watched some racing. The racing was good. I did not go, but I did go to a racetrack, so there is that. I went down and helped the One to Go show 83 rides, and Brian's bad luck continues. Kraus, he's got one more week. Chonka's got a prediction out there that he's going to get a feature win before you this year, and I don't know, man, he can't finish a race, so I'm not sure that's going to happen. You might be safe on that one at 0-0. Dave had a pretty good night, got second. So they had an interesting deal, 50-lap race for the street stocks with a a stop in between at lap 25. They call it the twin 25s, where you can come in and do whatever you want. Well, he had a plug wire come off in the first segment. And so that was good that we fixed that, and he went back out and he got second. So pretty good night overall, and one more night of racing left at Sycamore. So I guess we'll see if we can get the 83 in victory lane here before the end of the season. So let's get into some good stuff here. Top 5 stories from this past week, brought to you by our friends over at Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating, right up there in Ashland, Wisconsin. Incidentally, guys, this weekend, the Red Clay Classic, 49th annual Red Clay Classic, up at the ABC Raceway in Ashland, Wisconsin. And when you talk to drivers up in the Northland, the one thing they say is, if you want postseason vibe, that is the place to be, because there's not a ton of racing going on. Huge party. They got a lot of stuff. They do a great job up there. Great culture. Ashland, Wisconsin, the place to be this weekend. And of course, Fastlane Motorsports, they will be at the Silver on Thursday and at the Red Clay Friday, Saturday with their parts truck. They custom fabricating, powder coating, sandblasting, sell parts, sponsor a ton of cars and in the Fastlane Superstock Series. Great group of guys up there in Ashland at Fastlane Motorsports. I want to give a little shout out here too. Neighborly Bar, they got a pretty cool deal. You see, they do that bridesmaids deal quite often. The second place driver in the features might possibly make more money than the person that actually wins the feature. So they kind of do a pretty fun thing up there. And Cop Racing, I think Taylor, Brandon's sister. I got to give her a shout out. I don't know if you guys saw online, but she put together like a little flyer deal. If you haven't seen it, I'll send it to you. But a little flyer deal. It's on the 2020 page, and basically it's support these businesses. Here's businesses when you come to Ashland this weekend for the Red Clay Classic. Here's a bunch of businesses in all different categories that support either racers, racetracks, and whatever. And pretty cool deal put on by by a racing family saying, hey, look, these are people that support racing in the area. So if you're coming to town, support these businesses. And pretty cool idea. They did that for Superior for the Northern Nationals as well. So wanted to give them a shout out. So guys, let's stick with Wiota to start right off the bat. So number 5 here, national title news. So Kraus, I know, Bert, you're probably not keeping too much track on the Wiota points, not as much as maybe me and Kraus are. But Coach, you paying a little bit of attention to a couple of national title races right now in the Wiota classes?
Yeah, for sure we are. Obviously, I think the big one, now that the late model news is obviously kind of done, with Strand supposedly done, from the sounds of it, done for the season. I know he ran Jamestown. Now it sounds like he's kind of done, so I'm pretty sure TPO's got that thing pretty much wrapped up in the book. But I know that modified race really could have took a turn last night if things would have played out how it was. Superstock's pretty much over. I'm not quite. You haven't updated me on the Midwest mod deal. Looking like the Browers are going to go 1-2 in the street stocks, which is going to be a cool deal. So points heating up, but I know we were watching that mod race last night, and like I said, things could have really took a turn last night if it would have panned out the way it should have.
Mike Stearns, dude, come on, man, you're killing me. What are you doing, guy? What are you doing? Missed opportunity. And I'm pulling, I'm watching, I'm pulling for Stearns because I want to see that battle be tight. And, I've gotten to know Mike pretty good. We didn't always get along. I can tell you that, but we get along pretty good now. But he's leading the feature. Bert, it's rubbered up. I mean, I don't know if it was a 15 or 20 lap feature, 20, I think, at Bemidji. Rubber lap 1. 2 days show, day racing, good car count, and the place was latched up, and he gets out to the lead, and I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, slow the fuck down. What are you doing? He's driving away from the pack, abusing it, roasting. I mean, he's not spinning the tires, but I mean, he's way on it more than he can. And lo and behold, a couple laps to go, right rear tire goes. And I asked him, I'm like, did it delaminate? He's like, no, I just burnt it off. And it's like, it's 1 lane of rubber. You don't need to drive that hard. What are you doing? So big missed opportunity. And then add that to the deal in Miller. a month or so ago where little scheduling conflict with how the promoter over there missed a step or whatever and didn't get it on the list with Wiota to get points. You take those two races, he gets credit for that win that he got at Miller here a month or so ago, and he wins last night. Well, we got a race, right? And now he's got to win too. And he's got to win too to take the lead. And not a lot of racing left. There's 5 potential races left. Thursday at the Silver. And then this weekend, I believe him and Chernosky are both going to race Madison Friday, Madison Saturday. So there's 3 races there. You got the Fall Classic next week, and then you got Fergus Falls the week after. So I think that's essentially about all you got for opportunities. So, boy, that one's going to pain him. I got a question for you guys, though. So Shane Zabrowski's only 2 or 3 wins away from the point lead as well. He's there. I mean, he could literally – it's not out of the realm of possibility for Shane to win the Silver, win the Red Clay, and then win maybe at Fergus. He could win 3 more and be right in the thick of things. And I texted him. I'm like, Shane, good luck in Bemidji tomorrow. You kind of got to go. He's like, nah, we're going to the Vikings game. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, it turned out to be a good game for him to go to. But, do you think 3, 4, 5 years ago when he was maybe, not that he's not hungry, but maybe more point hungry and the kids were a little younger, do you think he's like, I'm going to skip the Vikings game and go try to win a natty? I was a little surprised, not that it was a wrong call or anything, but are you a little surprised that he's that close to taking the point lead in the national standings and he's like, we're going to skip that one and go watch a football game? What do you think, Ross?
Considering everything he's got going on with his life, no. Rule number 1 is don't support Minneapolis St. Paul, Shane. Just stay out of that area. That's new rule of mine. We don't need to be supporting them. But with all the stuff he's got going on in his life, no. He sometimes he just nice to get a little break, go do something else and kind of rejuvenates it, because I'm sure he's going to be pretty hot and heavy here the rest of the year. Ogilvy's got a couple shows and probably throw the topless in there. He always runs that too. So you're racing for another month yet. So probably be good to take a little bit of break. And he's been there and done that in the mod. You know what I mean? So think maybe he wants to maybe relax a little bit, maybe try to go win some of these races and not point chase so much and just go win and have some fun.
Yeah, he's definitely earned it, right? I mean, it's not like he owes anybody an explanation. And quite honestly, I mean, Vikings gave Houston an ass kicking. So if you're going to skip Bemidji to go to, that's a football game that you wanted to see. So, good luck the rest of the way, 7A. Super Stocks, like you said, Dexton Cook texted me. I looked at the points. It's officially over. Late models, even if Dustin Strand raced every race for the rest of the year, mathematically over. Midwest mods, that one is over. David Simpson is going to be your national champion in the Midwest mods. The streeter race for second is interesting. Colton Brower keeps on winning. Got another one here this past weekend, and he is now locked in solidly in second. Rob Petroff has a couple shows this week at Sheridan, but right now it's looking very potential that Braden Brower could go 1, Colton Brower could go 2. Of course, Colton just won the Wiota 100, and as we all know, and maybe some of the listeners don't, their dad going through some pretty tough health challenges. Not going to get into all the details what that is, but struggling. They've been struggling, and life has been tough for Dad here the past year. So I tell you what, if them guys could go 1-2 in the national standings, that would definitely be a good thing for that family. So I'm pulling for those guys, and I'm a Petroff guy, he's a buddy of mine, but definitely want to see them end the year up well. Kraus,
What you got a Buzzy update for us? Where's Buzzy in all of this?
Well, Buzzy was in the mix, and he went to the over to Red Cedar and was charging. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the Punky, but I think he basically he gave it all he had at the Punky, and if he would have won at Menominee, that would have put him in the mix, and he probably would have went over to Bemidji on Sunday. But being that the Punky didn't go well, he ended up DNFing that deal. I think his fun meter's pegged, and if he races a show, it might be one more maybe the rest of the year. But it sounds like he's kind of threw in the towel. So unfortunately, because he had a fun year and he had a lot of missed opportunities in there as well. One of my favorite guys to watch for sure. So that's the update right there. Oh, pure stocks. Holy shit, drama. Bert, drama in the pure stocks. Right now, as it sits going into this past weekend, Dustin Puffy from up in the Bemidji area leading the points. Brent Mindock, he's over from right around the Rice Lake area. I'm not sure where he's from. He's second. Chasten Finkbone up from Grand Rapids, third. Now, Mindock needed, obviously, your chucking shows, and he needed to win a race to get back into the point lead. And Cade Leeper wins both nights up at the Bemidji Stampede. Problem is, night number 2 sounds like there was an issue in tech that's going through appeal right now. Sounds like the cylinder heads were questionable. Don't know for sure. Engine builder claims it's a casting mark, so that's going to go through the process this week. But guys, guess who got second in that feature? Brent Mindock. So if Leeper's officially DQ'd, that gives Brent Mindock the point lead because of a feature win. He will now be the point leader in the Wiota Pure Stock National Title race with one race left to go, and that is the Fall Classic down at Ogilvie in a couple weeks, and that's all that's left. So right now, a lot on the line. Right now, Dustin Puffy and his crew kind of looking at Wiota going, oh man, I hope that dude's legal. And Mindock's like, now DQ him. He's out because national title on the line based on how the appeal process goes. And I don't know. I haven't seen the motor or whatever, but I mean, guess we'll, sounds like Thursday, the head of teching is going to have an opportunity to look at that himself. So we'll see what happens. So good luck to Cade Leeper on that one. I mean, they just buy the engine, throw it in. I mean, it's one of those deals. We talked about this, Kraus. You buy an engine from somebody and you just kind of take them at their word that it's legal, right? You just put it in. If you don't know much about engines, it is what it is. Well, man, that would be a bad deal for him, who, by the way, they're very good buddies with Dustin Puffy. So for him to get DQ'd and essentially cost Puffy a win for the Natty, that would be that'd be a tough day. That'd be a tough day at the office right there. So that's the national title news. We'll have a little bit more on that next weekend. We got a full weekend of racing, and then it's basically just a couple shows left. So we'll keep everybody in the loop. Number 4, one of the most long-standing races in the area, the Punky Manor Challenge of Champions, Red Cedar Speedway, Menominee, Wisconsin. That happened this past weekend, Friday and Saturday night. Guys, I got a list here. You know, I got kind of the top 3 in the classes or whatever, but I know, Bert, you said you watched the features there. Kraus, I know you watched as well. What stuck out to you guys this weekend over at the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee?
Well, we've mentioned him earlier in the show, but Buzzy was fun to watch in the modified feature. I mean, he actually took the lead in that race, but the caution came out and they didn't have a full lap completed, so he had to start second on the restart. And then on the restart, they kind of got bottled up, and he kind of got pushed in the wall a little bit, and then he slowed, I don't know, a lap or so later. But if that caution wouldn't have came out, that's a whole different race.
I don't know if there's a more entertaining person to watch than Buzzy in a modified. I mean, there is literally no. Oh, hold on a sec. Somebody's calling me. There's literally no fucks given. I mean, it don't matter. It's checkers or wreckers. He's going to go to the front. He's going to drive the wheels and worth the price of. I've called him the human highlight reel because he's that fun to watch. Even if he doesn't win the show, he tends to be the show. And so that's kind of the experience. I had a few people text me that. So spot on with Buzzy. Tough break for him with a DNF. What else stuck out?
Well, AJ Demo won his first Punky Manor in a modified. I believe he had 4 late model wins. This was his first in a modified. Late model feature. Mater won his second straight, and that was a cushion dominant track. I mean, all the cars most of the fast cars were running up on the top side, and so I'd rather see that than a rubber down track.
Yeah, one lane up top is always better than one lane on the bottom, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts on it. As far as a fan goes, as far as watching.
Right.
So you talked about the mods there. I do got to give a shout out to the Hermantown Hammer. I mean, so Demo won, and congratulations, AJ Demo. I mean, if that guy had more of a budget and whatever, he's one of the most talented drivers that we've ever seen in our area, no matter what class he gets in. So he won, but Daryl Nelson, 18th to 2nd. That was impressive. He had a shot to win that deal. I think he might have been a little bit better than Demel at the end of that race as well. And then a good run there to cap off the top 3 for Mike Truscott. So that was your top 3 in the mods. But anything else in the mods stick out? We talked about the late models. I got a shout out there too. But anything else in the mods or anything else stick out to you from the Punky before we recap a little bit more there?
Well, one thing in the modified feature, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, I guess as a fan, I noticed stuff like this, but there's an early caution that Buzzy was in, and there's a car kind of underneath the back end of Buzzy, but once they got the cars unhooked, all the officials were wearing official shirts, fluorescent yellow, but then there was just a plain guy. I don't know if it was a crew member of the 22J car, and he was working on the car while the car was on the track, and there was like a 12-year-old boy working on the car too, and I thought that was kind of weird that, that you have crew members, especially one, a boy working on a car on the track.
And it could have been, I guess I don't know for sure. Sometimes that's a wrecker crew, right? They have so many people down in the infield at Menominee that it's kind of hard to decipher who's who. Now, you're right. I mean, if it happened to be a driver's crew out on the track, that's a questionable deal. That should be up to the back or
and the
done.
thing is, even if it's wrecker crew, you shouldn't have like a 12-year-old, 14-year-old boy out on the track.
Yeah, that's a little iffy. I would agree, Coach.
Well, I think Bert's big point is neither of those two guys had safety vests on either. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it needs to be a rule anytime there's any sort of track worker on the track, you have to have a safety vest on this day and age. Just even if something does happen, at least you can say, hey, the guy had a safety vest on too. So the one guy went out there pulling was it Hillman's car or whoever it was? He's pulling He's pulling on the fenders and pulling everything out. It looked just like a straight up random crew guy. And I was like, well, I saw the same thing too. I'm like, whatever. I mean, it must be a Wisconsin thing. They completely overhauled Jimmy Randall's car one year at the Little Dream. They had chop saws and sawzalls and right on the track. So it must just be a Wisconsin thing.
And at first I thought it might have been a crew guy, but then he went and kneeled down and was talking to the driver. So then it's like, I think that might be a crew guy. So I just thought it was a little strange.
It very well could be. So somebody maybe put in the comments below. I mean, was that a crew guy? I'm not sure. Did he finish the race or was he done at that point? Or
I know he kept going. He was still running 6th or 7th, at least halfway through the race, because he actually got his spot back because the announcer initially said that they called the caution on Mater. But then they changed the caution cause to 19J, and then the 19J pulled down on the front stretch, pulled down low, talked to the official on the 4-wheeler, and the official just shrugged his shoulders.
Yeah, that was Revord and Jack Revord, and I didn't see it. We looked for it, and they didn't really have video footage of it online, so I didn't get a chance to see it. But I did have people reaching out. Oh man, he got screwed. I don't know. I didn't see it, but obviously he was not happy with the call. So yeah, interesting deal there. Late models, Chad Mater won 2nd place. So I got to give a shout out to my buddy Dave Flynn. Kind of had a rough year. And boy, to get a 2nd place at the Punky, and 3rd place was Ashley Anderson. Podium finish at the Punky is no joke. That's a tough field of cars down there. So congratulations to him on a great run down in Menominee, and good luck this weekend. I know he'll probably be at the silver for sure. He'll be at the red clay. Super stocks, boy, this was another good run. So Taryn Spacek won. So congrats to Taryn. Did you see who got 2nd and where he started? Alex Myers, Kurt Myers' kid, 17th to 2nd. That's a hell of a run right there. I mean, kind of a first year, I think basically his first year. I think he might have run a little bit last year, but pretty young kid to be able to come that far, forward in the pack. That's a hell of a run for him. And then Midwest Mods, Derek Haas got it done. Brandon Jensen 2nd. Street stock, so Andrew Hansen wins, Colby Keel 2nd, Gunnar Watkins, that rounded out your podium. Boy, Hunter Van Gilder, he won the legendary. Probably should have won the Punky. Probably should have won. I saw some posts online. He said a guy got into him in track and all that. His whole right rear quarter panel came off the car. So it's laying on the track. They throw the yellow. They're like, yeah, your tin. You go to the back, and I get it. As a driver, you're like, well, shit. That sucks. But Kraus? I gotta ask you. Like, you and I are old school. We're not afraid to kind of have a little contact back in the day. Do these people only use like 3 rivets to hold body panels on now? I mean, we've seen more cars, right, where the whole freaking body falls off. I mean, I guess Tony Barr said it best in a comment on the post. He's like, yeah, I had it happen to me in the past too. Wasn't happy, but ultimately we're responsible for shit falling off a race car, right? So your thoughts?
Well, the first off is the call. You can drill somebody in the quarter panel, crinkle their quarter panel, and the next lap that falls off, and he goes to the back because you basically ripped his quarter panel off. You know what I mean?
Is that what happened? Did he get?
No,
did he
but
get
I'm
punted?
just saying, why would if 29 drives up to under, I don't really like what you were doing to me, and I drive up under yellow and crinkle your quarter panel, the next lap you lose a piece of your body panel and you go to the back. Is that fair? No, it's not 100%. You know what I mean? So debris is debris. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. Pick the debris up and reline up and go racing. You know what I mean? Hunter Van Gilder did not do that on purpose. He didn't spin somebody out. You know what I mean? It's debris.
What's the rule at Viking? So if somebody has a bumper fall off or body panels fall off and there's a yellow, do you?
Well, bumpers are different. Bumpers are different because you can't race without a bumper. They made that rule now. Well, first off, people at Race Viking Speedway know how to put a body on a car, so we usually don't have bodies fall off a car. How a steel right rear quarter panel completely fall off a street stock is he should be black flag and DQ for a steel panel coming off a car for one, Hunter. And I know Hunter. I got to know him fairly well. We text stuff all the time, but first off, don't make sure your stuff doesn't fall off. But I'm almost 100% positive at Viking it's not, because a lot of times you don't know what car it comes off of. But in this case, when it says Van Gilder Trucking or whatever it says on it, you know whose body panel is, or if it's got a number on it. So I just feel if it's debris, like I said, Rubbin's racing. So what happens if top 4 cars going to turns 1 and 2, and they're all their cars? You're going to throw all 4 of them to the back? You know what I mean? And so that was a bad call, but I would throw the yellow, pick it up, and give him a spot back, and let him race without a quarter panel.
Yeah, that was a tough deal. I mean, that's a sucky way to lose, and there's 2 sides of looking at it, right? I mean, you're right. I mean, it's debris. Sometimes you can't control that. It's out of your control. I didn't see what caused that, so I don't know. But like Tony Barr said in the comments, he's like, well, I mean, ultimately we're responsible, so use more. I have no idea how he had it fastened, but we have seen more body panels fall off race cars in the last year than I've ever seen before. Let's put more fasteners in and you won't have that issue. So that's kind of a thing too. I mean, Kraus, you and I have yard sailed some shit, right? And we didn't have body panels falling off race cars. That wasn't a thing. Well, we didn't do that. So speaking of shrapnel, Bert, did you happen to see what happened in qualifying, late model qualifying Friday night?
I did not.
Do you remember that deal where Tom Nesbitt pulled off the track? That happened again.
Really?
It did. Yeah. Now, the video didn't show the altercation, and I don't necessarily think it was like straight up green flag. Based on me and Kraus both kind of looked at the video. Maybe they just went green. I'm not sure. But Lance Matthews was down in the infield, and they kind of motioned him off, and he went to pull off the back straightaway, and here comes Jim Carlson and frickin' teed him up in the middle of the back straightaway at the entrance, and nobody was hurt, so that's good. And I don't think the wreck was as bad as the deal with Brady Smith and Tom Nesbitt, but man, oh man, that feels like it's preventable to me. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't personally like the scales in the infield. I just don't for that reason. Especially there, the way you kind of go straight and you take a right off the scales and you come pull right off. I don't know what happened there. Seemed like that obviously could have been an avoidable deal. Glad nobody was hurt, but I mean, is the best fix there just to put the scales outside and get rid of them in the infield at this point?
Well, how did it happen? I mean, why?
So they were doing time trials.
Okay.
And I believe he was on the scales, or maybe he was just in the infield, one of the two. I'm not positive on this, but Matthews got waived basically out of the infield. Like, you can go across back to your pits because they pit outside there. They don't pit in the infield. So essentially, he either got waved off or felt like he got waved off. There was a lack of communication, and he took off straight across the track, and here comes a 7C, a full head of steam down the back straightaway, and there's a car pulling off the track right in front of him.
I did see a picture of the after carnage. I didn't see the video. But I mean, the easiest solution to that is you just stay in the pits until qualifying's over. I mean, that's the way the World of Outlaw, like when the World of Outlaws would come to Shawano Speedway, because Shawano Speedway, their scale is in the infield also. Every car just stayed in the infield until all the qualifying was over. Then they all crossed afterwards.
They even do that at Fairbury, and that's a quarter mile. There's not much room in Fairbury, so that's a good point. Nobody, everybody stays down there until time trials are done. When time trials are done, there's going to be no more green flag laps. Let them go. That's a good solution. I like that. It's a good idea, Bert.
Well, that's what I don't get, because there was multiple cars lined up off the scale. There was like 10 cars lined up 2 by 2. So I don't know why he was the only one that went. You know what I mean? They were stacked up down there. So they kept everybody over there. Why he went across, I have no idea.
It's Lance. He's a little older, probably, I don't know what he saw. He does no longer have the Coke bottle glasses anymore. I think he got that fixed. But yeah, let's just say it was a fortunate deal. And one last thing on Menominee. This was actually one of our fan questions or whatever too, so we'll just filter it in here since we're on Menominee. Bad calls happen everywhere. It's just part of racing. Best sports. It just happens. Heat race though, night one, Nick G.O.A.T got absolutely fucked bad. I mean bad. A guy spun out, Bert, and they were nowhere near each other. It wasn't like they were close or whatever, but to me, Kraus, we were talking, the cars, just I was watching on my phone, based on the phone, they kind of had a similar look. They flat out put the wrong car to the back. Like, another guy spun out. I think it was a 10 car. Was it Helling or whatever? He spun out. Yellow comes out. They put the 04 Junior to the back, and it's like, he wasn't even remotely around anything. Like, what are you doing? I mean, that's just another case right there for instant replay is a thing. I mean, they're already videotaping a big show like this. They're already videotaping. But the question I have, Kraus, in an instant like this where they messed up, we've all screwed up in the past. As a track, do you reach out to that person this week and be like, look, dude, we fucked you. Like, it was a bad deal. I mean, should the track reach out and apologize in a situation like that and try to save face so they don't lose a car for the 2025 season?
Yeah. I did it this year. Did it a couple times actually on calls. I waited till the next week because you can't go over there in the heat of the moment because you're going to get your ass chewed and you're going to make things work. So, and it was actually Josh Tennis, is a friend of mine, and the wrong call was made, and went over there next week and said, hey, sorry about that. And, he gets the judgment call, and it was tight racing and it was 3 wide. You know what I mean? And now, I can watch the video and see what's going on. And so, yeah, I think it, to a point, make sure it's the right way, or, I've even had my flag man go over and said, hey, sorry about that. We're human, we make mistakes, but I think in a blatant something like that, when it's 100% blatant, it's like, whoa, yeah, sometimes it's just go say something. Hey, sorry, we made a mistake. Hey, we're human.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, that's all you can do. Like you said, don't do it right away because you're going to get your ass chewed. And then that turns into, if you're the official that goes over there right away and you're kind of a little bit of a hothead anyway, you're going to get your ass chewed. And now all of a sudden you react and it just makes it worse. Yeah, wait a couple days, reach out. I think that's all you can do. Number 3, let's head to North Dakota, Jamestown Stock Car Stampede. 278 cars, 9 classes. Big car counts. I'm super glad that they at least, and I'm not a big fan of heats one day features the next shows, but with that many cars and that many classes, that's the only way to do that show. You have to have heats day 1, features day 2, and it's still latched up at the end of day 2, so it is what it is. But Street Stocks, Hunter Carter getting it done, but probably the drive of the night, Johnny Carter, 26th to 3rd. Hell of a run for him. And then he capped off the weekend with a win in the IMCA stock cars. IMCA's class. I mean, the rest of IMCA classes, I take it or leave it. IMCA stock cars are pretty cool. I talked to Johnny. I'm like, what do you like better? He goes, well, they're easier to work on. There's a few things he likes better about the IMCA stock car than the Wiota Street. They definitely are easier to work on for a couple different reasons. So congrats to him. Midwest Mods, nice bounce back win. The Nightmare Lucas Rodin, after getting kind of snake bit at the Wiota 100 for bar angle deal a week ago, came back, won the Jamestown Stampede. And then your buddy there, Kraus, your boy, getting it done in the late models.
Yeah, Ryan Michelson picking up the big win. Kind of a hometown deal. Grew up from over there, so it's good for him. And he smoked the field. There's no doubt he put a whooping on the field. And we'll get into recap. We'll get into the controversy in the late model race here in a little bit.
Well, why don't you just talk about it now? Since we're on Jamestown, why don't you just go ahead? Let's
Well, of course, I'm a keyboard warrior now these days. So kind of like Bert, we're all keyboard warriors. So I hop up online and I'm reading some stuff and I see a post complaining about Ryan Michelson's restarts. Okay. So, and don't get me wrong. Bert, it looked like he was doing 150 miles an hour down the backstretch, getting lined up to start. And hey, and I get it. You're the pole sitter. Okay. The track's going to 1-lane rubber. You have to do whatever it takes to get to the rubber and get the lead. Okay. So his first restart, yeah, he was flying a little too fast. They did come over the receiver and said, 15, you need to slow your pace down on these restarts. And he did. That's why it didn't go any further. So all you keyboard warriors out there that said this was set on the receiver, that was set on the receiver. I heard what was set on the receiver. Okay. So they took care of that stuff. And then the last restart, Bert, well, first off, it's 40 laps. It's 2 a.m. Well, not quite 2 a.m., but it's the middle of the night, Bert. The late models are by far the premier division out there, and that was a pretty good field of late models. And there's no rhyme or reason why they needed to run them second to last or whenever it does. That needed to be earlier in the show when the track was better. There's no doubt about it. I know Brian Deedy made a comment about that. I know Dustin Strand made a comment about that in Victory Lane. It's 1 lane of rubber with 7 to go where it was, and we're still doing double file restarts. The big things people want when it rubbers up, just go single file. So Greth says sitting here, I got to get a good restart. Well, he was nosing up on the right left rear quarter panel of Michelson on the start, and he was already tucked up there. And Ryan, where's the leader going to go when he starts the race? He's going to cut to the bottom, Bert, and what happens? Well, Gresteth has his nose in there, and then he got. Remember at the Dome, was that last year when someone pinched Feger in the wall and doubled up the whole field? Bert, you remember that? That's exactly what happened here. So Michelson came down to get a good run. There was no brake check there. People say, he brake checked, he did this. No, he didn't brake check. Okay. And you have to, when you hit the brakes, your car comes to a stop, right, Bert? His car didn't come to a stop. It was still rolling. He just turned down. Usually when there's brake checking going on, it's the second and third place guys. They double up the whole field. So he pinched down. Gresseth got doubled up. He got basically pinched, stopped into the wall. Call was because Michelson spun. I mean, it was a yard sale, Bert. There was cars everywhere, and he ended up getting thrown to the back, and Michelson ended up going on for the win. So it was big time controversy. Everybody's mad. You know, it's like I said, when it's 2 a.m. and you're battling for 12th, you're going to be upset running in the rubber. It's just the way it is. But on a restart with 6 or 7 to go, the only way Gresseth was going to win that race was get a good start and throw a slide job over and Michelson and 1 and 2 and win. That's the only way he was going to get it done, and it didn't work out for him. So end of the day, that's how I saw it. Congrats to Ryan. It was a big win for him. Going out there, you know, kind of being a hometown guy. He's kind of a Alexandria guy now, so it's good to see an Alexandria guy go out there and get a win out at Jamestown.
Yeah, and the only way to solve that is, like you said, run them earlier so they're not racing on rubber, because anytime you're racing on rubber, shit like that happens. So it's a product of the racetrack racing surface, because both of those guys, very talented racers, Ryan Michelson and Gresseth, both of them super clean too. Neither one of them are bangers out on the racetrack, so that's just kind of a victim of circumstance there. Dustin Strand second, and a great run. Brody Troftgruben with a podium finish. Congratulations to him as well. Number 2. I want to talk about culture, guys. You want to talk about post-season culture? I had several people I talked to that attended this event over the past week, and they said second to none. This is something we need to put on our list to attend next year, because I guess it was, they said, I had people tell me as many as 7,000 fans on Saturday night at a Wiota event. That is unheard of. That just simply does not happen anymore. The Thunder Bay Truck Center Dirt Track Nationals up at the Thunder City Speedway, Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. This is going to be number 2 right here. 184 cars. They had mods, supers, Midwest mods, streets. I think they had Hornets in there as well. But little recap there. Night number 1, actually both nights. Dave Kane, a hell of a weekend north of the border, doubling up. One of the best races I saw was him and Belfi, Brandon Kopp kind of battling it out. So really good modified racing up there. Chernosky got second the first night. Nick Oreskovich with a pair of top 5 finishes. He got 5th and a 3rd. Belfi with a 3rd and a 4th. Dave Kane, though, what a weekend. Dave Kane in the 2C car going up to Thunder Bay, coming back with a couple really nice paydays, couple big wins north of the border. Super Stocks, Cole Chernosky doubling up in the Super Stocks. Last lap pass, Bert. Dexton Cook led, not necessarily last lap, coming to the last lap. Chernosky threw a slider on him in 3 and 4, coming to the white, and stole it from him going for the last lap on night number 1. And Chernosky holding serve and making the hometown fans proud. Timmy Johnson with a 3rd and a 2nd. DJ Keeler with a pair of top 5s. Good weekends for them, but Chernosky has been the guy to beat up there, and he proved it right there. Midwest Mods, Team USA, kind of holding serve there. William Moulter. So this is a guy who works at SSR. Remember, he went down to B-Mod Bedlam, that big 30 grand to win show. He was the highest finishing Wiota driver with a top 5. He parked in Victory Lane, night number 1 in the Midwest Mods. Now, keep in mind, they get 50 of them up there. So they had a really, really good car count. And Colby Reed and Marcus Dunbar are your top 3. Vandy Camp, 18th to 4th to finish 4th there on night number 1. Tyler Vernon with a great run. He actually went north. He was really strong. He won one night, maybe both nights at Rice Lake on Labor Day weekend. But coming to life here at Invitational season, David Simpson second, Moulter finishing out 3rd on the podium. So a great weekend for the SSR 87. Street Stocks might have been the best finish. What do you think, Kraus? Possibly. AJ Keller, last lap pass on old Sasquatch Timmy Johnson to get it done. Kyle Bolt, 21st to 3rd in the Street Stocks. Great racing, great culture, great fan count, great atmosphere. I mean, I was told that right there was, when you're looking at postseason culture, there's 1 and 1B. It's the Dirt Track Nationals in Thunder Bay, and it's the Red Clay Classic coming up this weekend at the ABC Raceway in Ashland. Split the Pot, guys, was just under 10 grand for the winner's share both nights. And that's unheard of on local racing. So did either of you get to watch much of anything up at Thunder Bay? Yeah, great racing up there. And I got Donkey Award to myself, right? Because I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going to Thunder Bay. I got to get up there. I want to see the culture. And now I get to waste a whole nother off season with a winter of regret because I didn't go up there for it. But my dad and I talked about it. We need to head north next year because I love the postseason. I love the invitationals. I love the 2-day events. I love it. But when you have something with this kind of a following, this kind of fan base, it's got to be on the list. It's got to be something that we got to attend. So congrats to everybody up at Thunder Bay on a great weekend up there. Number one, dynamic duo. And I got a couple questions for both of you guys on this. So dynamic duo, Jim Chism, Joe Chism could be the number one brother tandem in all of dirt racing today. These kids are freaking phenomenal. So Jim Chism this past weekend, 50,000 to win, Hardo, Texas Speedway. Last lap pass, Jake O'Neill, what are you doing, guy? He dumped it over the right rear over the bank on the last lap and let it slip away. And Jim Chism capitalized. Chism was there the whole race, 100-lap race, and he had opportunity after opportunity to just right rear him, door him, rough him up a little bit. And mad respect, he didn't. He ran him clean. Kraus, let me ask you this. 50 grand to win 100-lap race. You're telling me that at some point in the race, you're not going to just use them up just a little bit to take the lead? What would you have done? I would have done that. I can promise you that. He did not. But
well, he really didn't need to because O'Neill was panicking. O'Neill didn't know where to go. All he had to do was roll the bottom, but his car was so darn tight, he couldn't keep it on them. All he had to do was roll the bottom. He would have won the race. Because Chisholm wasn't getting off the bottom. He wasn't. And it was dicey on the high side. It was really, really dicey up there. So if he would have been able to roll the bottom, I don't think he would have maybe he would have been forced to use the bumper a little bit. I think a couple times in 3 and 4, he was thinking about it. But O'Neill was pushing up every time coming out of each corner, so he really didn't need to. So there was a good job by him saving his equipment, long race. You can't be bending tie rods and bending your front end and wrecking wheels or, a chance to get a flat. But coming for the checkered, yeah, it was a free-for-all, but he didn't really need to do anything stupid coming to the checkered.
Yeah, he's hell of a race, very talented. Of course, leading the US MTS points here with just a handful of shows to go there as well. And then his brother, Joe Chism, younger brother, I think he's 17, 18, somewhere in that neighborhood. He heads down to Wheatland to the Lucas Oil Speedway for the USRA Nationals. First couple nights don't go real well. In fact, he got together with a guy, I think night 2, got put to the back and had to storm all the way back up inside the top 5 in one of the qualifiers. And he went home victorious, winning the A main on Saturday night at the USRA Nationals, which is essentially their Wiota 100, their IMCA Boone Super Nationals, right? It's USRA's big marquee event. In fact, they still have that deal where if you're a point chaser, you have to go because they give you bonus points to attend that race. So if you're battling for points, you have to go. And interesting deal, though, Kraus. I got one for you. He's running second right now in the USRA modified national standings. Of course, him and Jim have both won USRA B-Mod national titles. He's running second, I believe, behind Tyler Wolf. And when I was talking to Joe, he goes, I'm running second. I need 3-4 wins there to kind of take the lead on that. But I think I'm actually going to be considered the champion anyway, because it sounds like they have some kind of a rule where for the USRA points, at least 50% of the shows that they're counting have to be at your home weekly track. And he's like, Tyler Wolf don't have a home weekly track. So I don't know that he's like, I don't think he's going to be eligible to win the championship. So interesting deal. I'm gonna dig a little bit more into that. But it sounds like he by default might actually be the point leader. And so kind of an interesting deal. I'd never heard of anything like that. Is that good or bad? So you think let's apply that to Wiota. So Wiota, the concept behind the sanctioning body of Wiota, the Promoters Association. You want to look out for your member tracks. You want people to support weekly racing. Is that a good thing, making sure that at least half the shows they're counting have to be at a weekly track to help your local racing?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to help the local racing. And be honest with you, I think it's going to help get the fans involved more too, to tell you the truth. Now all of a sudden you get your announcer to say, hey, this guy's, he's got to run 50% of the shows here. He's got to run it. He's competing for national points. And all of a sudden, if, Brady Gertis is going to run somewhere else and he's contender and he's running Viking Speedway and he's going here, he's going there. I think he gets fans more interested for sure. I think you could get you're helping the local tracks. That's number one. That's what we need to do here. We got to get point championships and local racing, regular race nights back going to where it needs to be. I definitely think tough for Tyler Wolf. You don't have a home track. You don't have a home track because he's kind of the Brandon Overton of the sport, where you just kind of running around doing all the big shows, not really attached to anything. So, and I get that. So that's a tough deal too, but I like the concept.
Yeah, we'll dig a little bit more into that here over this week, come back with a little bit more info next week and see exactly, we'll see if we can decipher exactly how that works. But a question for you guys. So, and you can think back to former or current, when you think like brother duos, right? I mean, Jim and Joe Chism are elite talent drivers. They are going to be, they're both young too, early 20s, 17, 18. They're going to be fun to watch for a long time, and from what I'm seeing here. But when you think brothers in racing, that you're like, man, these two are they were powerhouses back then or are now. I got a couple in mind, but who comes to mind for you guys? Bert, anybody come to mind for you?
Well, in eastern Wisconsin, actually, it's not a brother duo. It's like a whole family. We've talked about the Bennett family on this show a lot. But there's Lowell, Brady, Dave, and Joel. They've all won track championships at Shawano Speedway in different divisions. So, that entire family is just very racing inclined.
Nice. Anybody else come to mind for you, or Coach Kraus? You got anybody that comes to mind? I got a couple here that come to mind.
From the western side of the state, I don't know how long they raced, but the Chamernick brothers, they come to mind. I remember when they were running pretty good in the late model division in the early 2000s.
Yeah, the 60 and the 09, Mike and Mark. And they used to make some trips up to Hibbing. Mike was probably more accomplished in the late model division. I ran a lot of laps against Mark in the super stock, and he played for keeps. He wasn't afraid to use a bumper, kind of like that, kind of like racing against that guy. But the Chamernicks were very good race car drivers for a number of years. In fact, one of my best friends, actually family with him, Mike Mackey, shout out Mike. All the help that he gave me over the years was related to the Chamernicks. So, Kraus, any brothers that come to mind for you that would be powerhouses?
Well, no, and I mean, back in the day, you guys remember Ryan Music?
Yep.
He won the Race of Champions one year somewhere. I don't know if that was over at Rice Lake or Cedar or somewhere. His brother Greg Music raced, and they would be uncles to Sean Olson. And then also Buzz Music would be, they race B-Mods right now. They both ran kind of sportsman's cars back in the day because my dad raced against them. And then they both went up to the modifieds. And obviously, the tennis brothers, Jason and Josh, are both pretty good runners themselves. And they have cousins and everybody in the sport too. And the cool thing about the brothers and family is it really gets the crowd into it and the fans. Just because we got a rivalry here. These two beat the crap out of each other all day at their house. Now they're gonna go on the racetrack and beat each other up too. So that's one thing I like about family stuff. Is just there's an intense rivalry there, not only just with them but also with the crowds. And we're fortunate enough up at Vikings got a ton of brothers. The Bitson brothers. There's 3 of them out there racing now. They're up and comers. So it's cool to see all these families and getting involved in the sport and watching brothers race against each other.
Yeah, and a few that come to mind locally, and on a local level is up in Hibbing. You got the Blevins family, right? You got Mike Blevins, of course, and then his kids, Mikey Blevins and Sam Blevins, that are up and comers winning a bunch of races, look strong at invitational time. Mac and Skeeter Esty, right? I mean, the Esty family up there has won a shit ton of races, and I've always said that Mac might actually have the most talent of the bunch, but he just doesn't take it quite as seriously as the other ones did. But Mac and Skeeter have won a lot. The Browers, we talked about Colton and Braden Brower. Of course, we're going to probably finish 1-2 in Wissota Street Stock points. Talk about a little bit of family feud stuff. They're getting along good now. I don't want to start nothing, but Jimmy, Dan, and Chris Gullickson all ran streeters. And I remember back in the day, Chris more focused on the engine building side, but Jimmy and Dan were bitter rivals. I mean, them two, they literally flat out were kicking the shit out of each other after races. I mean, it was like a family squabble because both of them were up front. Rick and Steve Eggersdorf, both have a shit ton of wins. Rick Eggersdorf, National Dirt Late Model Hall of Famer. Steve Eggersdorf, very accomplished as well. And then Ron and Dennis Jones. Ron Jones, probably one of the most accomplished modified drivers to ever strap in. And then I tell you what, Dennis Jones was no joke. His kid, Andy Jones, very talented, kind of races sporadically. But again, that was a family deal right there that holy shit, right? Both very talented. Ron, of course, won more. Dennis was very good as well. But those two would definitely they would throw down. Them two, they didn't play nice with anybody, including with themselves. But that family dynamic, very fun. But right now, today, in my opinion, Jim and Joe Chism are the top duo. And I'd like to hear, if fans have some, who comes to mind in the fans? Put in the comments, message us. Who are some family duos out there that have really impressed you over the years? So let's move on. Some fan feedback here, and let's jump into some national late model stuff here. We got one here from Brad. So Knoxville, of course, happened here this past weekend, and the results there, the smooth operator Bobby Pierce, of course, parking in victory lane because that's what he does. And Brian Shirley, 15th to second. We're going to talk more about that in just a second. And Devin Moran, third. But the story behind this whole deal, T-Mac rounds out with a fifth. Hudson O'Neill up in second, starts to fade, look like a right rear tire come down. Caution comes out right, as the rain's coming. He ends up going to the back, and it cost him. And T-Mac sneaks into the final four, taking that final spot from Hudson O'Neill. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that T-Mac, there's four drivers, so everybody has a chance, right? But do you think T-Mac now has a realistic chance to leave 2024, end the season as the Lucas Oil champion?
I think he definitely has a chance to do that. Actually, I think he probably has the way he's improved late in the season and the way he's running now and the way RTJ's running, I would actually say T-Mac has a better chance of winning the championship than RTJ does.
I don't think you're wrong. I think I agree with that. Kraus, what do you think? Do you think that T-Mac, he's one of the top four favorites, right? But do you think he actually, would you look at him as like, I think he's the guy right now?
Yeah. Looking at the schedule coming up, obviously he has a chance. There's no doubt about it. But looking at the schedule, it's going to be super duper tough to beat the 49, my personal opinion. Moran's going to be a lot more consistent than anybody. You don't know what you're going to get out of RTJ right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. You got no idea what you're going to get out of that. But, here's the flip side with him. He's had such a big lead. He's basically been locked in for months. Are they testing? Do they got a notebook? He did it earlier in the year, and we always rip, what happened to RTJ? Well, he was running the Castrol stuff and some World Outlaw stuff, and he wasn't doing real good while he was testing. No different than Davenport has done. especially now it ends at Eldora. You know how Mr. Davenport is at Eldora, so there's a lot of interesting variables that go into this deal with all four of these guys. Really does, but I'm happy that there's a Final Four. Would it be awesome if it was a Final Five with Huddy, because he deserves to be in there? Absolutely. Would it be nice to have the Huddy RTJ story in there? Yes. The Huddy Rocket One story. A lot of storylines there, but it's super interesting with how this format's going to play out. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody else races these guys. You know, a guy like Garrett Albertson, I don't think really cares about the Final Four. He just wants to win. I think Huddy's going to be in that same boat. He's want to send the message that I deserve to be in there. He's going to want to win. So it's a lot of different variables here. So it's going to be fun to watch. There's no doubt about it.
Well, and then you add in that you're going to have Pierce at a couple of these races too, right? So you're going to have the World of Outlaw guys coming in. So, I mean, it could definitely be interesting. So for those of you that don't know, like the Final Four last year came down to one race at Eldora. It was a one race deal. It was pretty epic. I mean, it was absolutely dramatic. But this year it's a 7 race deal. They have 2 at Brownstown. They got 1 at Atomic. That's next week, I think Tuesday. And then they got 2 at Pittsburgh, which is a massive track, right? And then they have the 50,000 to win the final show ever at East Bay, and then they cap it off at Eldora. So it's kind of a mix, right? You got some small tracks, some middle tracks, you got some big monster tracks. It's kind of a mix in there, and you're kind of looking at who's the most versatile. I think Moran's been the most consistent. You get on that big monster half-mile smooth slick. I mean, that's a JD thing all day long, right? You get down to East Bay. Let's face it, RTJ has not had any success at East Bay, like none. This could be the time where he maybe needs to have that happen, but it's going to be fun to watch. It all starts this weekend with a pair of shows at Brownstown. Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to kind of keep tabs on that. Did you guys see what happened with Shirley though? So I was talking to Dan. Shout out to our boy Dan. He was down at Knoxville. Couple neat things happened down there. So Brian Shirley, did you see what happened with him? Car died when they went yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they went yellow, car died. I don't exactly know what happened. I think speculation says he ran out of fuel. Because they did a fuel stop because they packed a bunch after they farmed it, and then they made a decision on that red for the rain to let everybody do fuel only, and then he needed a push start, but then it ran good after that. So did he actually run out of fuel? Because I know Moran said he had like 10 gallons left at the fuel stop. It's kind of, or at the rain delay. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know if that's what happened. I mean, the announcers were saying that some of the drivers were that, you know, they may be getting low on fuel. So I mean, I guess it's possible, but I haven't heard anything if that's actually what happened.
Boy, that saved them 15th to second. That would have sucked to run out of fuel. So the rain came at the right time if that was the case. Kraus, did you hear anything concrete on that?
No, nothing concrete. Like you said, you get down that much fuel, and who knows with the pickups and those things. And you know, Knoxville's it's a pretty fast track, and there's a lot of G forces flying around in there too. I don't know if the pickup was, I don't know what kind of pickups they got or where they're located or what's going on there, but if it started fluttering at 100%, it was a fuel deal. And then you fill it up and you don't have an issue with it. So it was 100, it had to have been a fuel deal. It just wasn't going to fix itself unless they snuck something by during the red, but there was people all around his car. You know what I mean? There was nonstop officials and the cameras were on it. So it would have been super tough to, you know, if it was a red box or if something was sputtering or a plug wire or something like that, they would have seen that. But it obviously must have been fuel.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing as well. RTJ, terrible night, 19th, but Turbo, I got to give a shout out to Turbo. So Dan told me, so we're all familiar. We know who Tom Nesbitt is. I mean, one of the most legendary racers of our lifetime, especially in our area, right? Well, his brother, Mike, is his wife passed away, Kim, here just recently in the last few months or whatever it was. And she became a Turbo fan. She wasn't a Turbo fan, but became a Turbo fan. They went to a lot of national races, and Turbo actually put some of her ashes on his car when he went out for Knoxville and made some laps, and basically de facto spread some of her ashes on Knoxville's racetrack, and kind of a cool gesture. So they were super appreciative of that, and kind of a cool deal that Turbo. So tell you what, it's getting harder and harder to not be a Turbo fan with some of the cool stuff that he actually does. I mean, he's mouthy, he's kind of rough around the edges, but tell you what, I mean, he's just a diehard racer that loves racing, and it sounds to me like he's a pretty good people person as well. So shout out Turbo on that. Another question, anonymous. Let's go to this one first. Wissota 100. There's a question for Kraus, and I guess for Bert as well. Either one of you can answer this question. So we've seen at multiple races where they have a big video board for replays and for driver interviews, right? So after the race, maybe they'll interview the drivers. Doug asked me this: should Wissota somehow either rent or lease a giant video board for both drivers interviews and for instant replay incidents for the Wissota 100? Would that be a good addition? Your thoughts?
I don't know if it's worth the extra expense. I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to put a big video board in. But I mean, you know, Wissota had some money problems previously, so I don't know if you want the added expense. I mean, it would be cool for the fans if they did have one.
Yeah, it's got to be big enough to where it's actually
right.
You can see it, though. Kraus?
Yeah, well, especially Saturday night, a lot of fans on the backstretch. You're staring at the back of the heads. You can't see victory lane. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be something to look into for sure. It'll add to the show. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, I think that would do. As far as the instant replay goes, you're gonna have to have one dedicated person sitting up in the tower with his own tablet, sitting next to Brandon from our elevate-visual.com, and he'll get you the replays. But that's gonna have to be one dedicated person. You can't have a corner guy looking at a video board. You know what I mean? It's, kind of like, hey, we're calling New York, or NHL, we're calling Toronto. Hey, we're calling the tower at I-94. That's got to be one dedicated person to say, hey, guys, no, hey, you missed it. Here's what happened. So it's cool for the fans to see the replay. There's no doubt about it. I've actually thought about that at Viking, putting TVs up in the grandstand, so fans can actually see the replays. It's something I've thought about doing. So I think something down those lines, it'd be pretty cool to add to the show. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So good idea there, Doug. Rick asked, did you guys see who got win number 853 this past weekend? Bert?
Yeah, Billy Moyer is still doing it, even though he had a farewell tour like 2 times already. He's still racing. I was reading he just bought a Longhorn not that long ago. So, he doesn't seem to be close to hanging up the helmet.
Yeah, after his crash earlier this year, we weren't really sure. He tumbled pretty hard, and yeah, good to see him back. It's always good to see Billy Moyer back in victory lane, so congratulations to him. Anonymous one here, guys. More unwritten rules drama from Wissota. Unbelievable. It just never ends, right? So anonymous one says, unwritten rules occurs again in multiple dynamics at the Bemidji Speedway. Pagonis and Kenny both up there, the traveling Gestapo for Wissota. First thing, the Mod 4 guy, Tommy Bowden, he remember, he got DQ'd over an unwritten rule, basically lost a chance at a national championship. We don't need to rehash that, but he made a little sign that said, unwritten rules, circle around it, line through it. Doesn't say Wissota, not disparaging Wissota, but literally it says, unwritten rules, circle around it, line through it. Well, Pogo, Fun Killer Pogo, decided that I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make sure I warn this guy, and I'm gonna come down on him. And he says, if you have that on your car in victory lane, I'm disqualifying you, fining you. And if you go on social media making a big deal about this, I'm going to fine you and do all this and that. Pogo, fucking go lay by your dish, guy. Like it, if it said Wiota sucks or whatever, I get it. It says unwritten rules, and everybody should agree on this. Everybody. This isn't even a thing. Nobody should be disqualified for an unwritten rule. I just think that's common sense, right? So he's not wrong. And so Pogo out there making a big deal. His feelings were hurt. It is what it is. Pure stocks, though, there's a shock issue. Okay, one of the drivers gets disqualified in the feature, and this one fucking grinds my gears. These guys are Pogo and Kenny are morons. Okay, it just is what it is. They cannot possibly get any more fucking stupid. I literally thought Bill Engelstad was the problem. These two idiots are worse. It's unbelievable. So they go through tech, right? And this guy they come and they say, oh, your shock's illegal. It says stock type shocks. And I get not wanting adjustable shocks on a pure stock. You can't be running adjustable shocks on a pure stock. That would raise the cost. I get it, right? It's not adjustable. He had a rebuildable shock on his car. Okay. Rebuildable, not adjustable. Okay. Rebuildable stock type shock. According to the verbiage in the rule book, perfectly legal. No issue with it. But here's where it gets worse. At the MPH event a couple weeks back, a pair of drivers got told they had the same exact shocks. Remember, most of the pure stocks are all kind of in the same area. They're not all over Wiota. So a couple of drivers they had the same shocks on, and Pogo and Kenny said, hey, look, we don't think that shock is legal. We don't want you running that shock anymore. We're going to give you a warning, and we're going to send you on the way. Run different shocks next time. You can't have that shock on the car anymore. Couple weeks later, same tech guys, same racetrack, a totally different driver, same shock as everybody else had been running, right up there. You're disqualified. Okay. How is that a fucking thing? Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong. The procedure should look like this. If they decide that they don't like that shock and they give a couple drivers warnings, Wiota tech officials, right? Not the track. These are the Wiota guys. If they gave people warnings, shouldn't there be a press release? Shouldn't there be something like, we're going to send out correspondence to every single pure stock driver that this particular shock is no longer allowed. Can't have it. Whether it's through text, email, a video on the Facebook page of like, look, here's the shock. We don't like this shock. Here's why. They warned two drivers a couple weeks back, and now they're like, wow, we're going to start DQing people now. Well, that's nice. You gave them warnings, but you're not giving this guy a warning? And you give warnings and you said this ain't legal and you don't tell anybody else and it's still not in the frickin' rule book? This is just bullshit, right? And he's like, are things going to ever change within this organization, or are we all screwed? And I'm going right now, like, I think you're all screwed because as long as the same people are involved, I just don't see anything changing here. Unbelievable. I mean, it just absolutely grinds my gears. I mean, I'm telling you right now, my inbox is full every day, every week of people reaching out and they're like, Pogo's worse than frickin' Billy. He's worse than Billy. He's got to go. And I'm telling you right now, like, if he keeps this nonsense up, right? And I mean, I'm all for teching. I'm all for teching, but literally creating more rules just to create more drama and just piss people off and ruin everybody's fun. Like, most of these rules, they're just unnecessary. I feel like they're creating more rules just to fuck with people, right? Pure stocks, for example, guys. Kraus, on a super stock where you have the hood filler and on the nose and the hood tucks down underneath it, they made a rule that next year you can't run a hood filler on a pure stock. Well, stock vehicles don't. There's a space there, and there's not a. Who gives a flying fuck? What are we talking about? Like, if you want to have a lip over your hood to help it stay down, great. Why is that an issue? They just keep creating more bullshit rules and dicking with more people and pissing more people off. Car counts are already down. Fan counts are already down. Racing's already hurting. These clowns got to stop. This has to come to an end. Kraus, Are we screwed? Can anything be done about this? Your thoughts?
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. And then we're picking on all the beginners. Like you said, and here's the thing with the beginners, Ryan. The Hornets and the Pure Stock, those guys just quit. You know what I mean? They just say it's not worth it. It's not worth to go to the racetrack and get nickpicked by my car. They're just going to quit. They don't want to deal with it. You know, let's start busting some real stuff here, Wiota. Some stuff going on in the late models and modifieds. Let's get after it and get this taken care of. You want to make some noise and really clean the sport up. Let's do it in those classes. Because there's stuff going on there. There's 100% there is. You know, and like you said, you're picking on all these little guys, and you're the ones that wanted the Pure Stocks and the Hornets sanctioned to begin with, and then all you guys are doing is whining and complaining about them nonstop. Well, it's brought it all on yourself. So, unwritten rules is bad. Ryan, we're on the same page. Yes, you have to tech. Yes, you got to watch for this stuff, but little common sense and all this stuff with rules and updates. It's 2024. There's so much technology out there with Google Forms and Google Sheets and Docs and websites and pages. After something done, just go in and type it in. Boom. Number 13's got an illegal shock. I told him to fix it. He's got a week to do it. All Wiota knows as soon as you punch it in on a form. You know what I mean? All the tech guys can go look. Promoters can look, know what's going on. We have so much technology. We got to use that stuff too. Use that to our advantage. Easy to communicate. You do it online. Everybody's on their phone.
Smart enough. You got to have people smart enough, though. That's the problem.
I mean, you talk to Surrey. Surrey. Hey, number 13 got DQ'd at Bemidji. It types it right in there for you. You know what I mean? So if you can, read, write, type, say, pronounce, talk, I mean, you should be able to get it done. I'm pretty sure there's smart enough people out there that would be able to use this technology for communication, so we don't have mix-ups where, well, Billy told me it was fine. Big Ken shows up, DQs you. Well, Billy told me last week. Well, they should all know, right, Ryan? Everybody should know that Billy cleared this, and I didn't show up the next weekend, and Pogo and Big Ken DQ me for something Billy just cleared me last week.
Speaking of that, I forgot about that. That happened. So, Bert, that happened too. So a super stock driver went to the Labor Day shootout at Hibbing, and he had not necessarily a cold air box, but something that was borderline close. It was close enough to where he actually called Bill Engelstead, the head of Wiota Teching, and he said, Bill, come over here. I want you to look at this, and if it's illegal, I'll take it off. If it's legal, I'll run it. And Bill walked around the car. He looked it over. He says, you know what? Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Okay. This same driver this week is at Bemidji, and Pogo slams down on the hood, and he's like, that's illegal. You got to get rid of it. He's like, bullshit. Talk to Bill. He's your boss. Like, what are you talking about? Nope. It's illegal. It's got to go. If it's on here in the feature, you're disqualified, right? He goes back to the pit. He calls Bill Engelstead, and he says, Bill, remember you looking at my car at Hibbing, and I had you specifically look. Yep, I remember. I remember looking at that. Yeah, and you said it was good. Yep, I said it was good. Well, Pagona said it's illegal, and I can't have it. Well, right there, Bill should be like, nope, it's good. I'll call Pogo and make sure it's good. His answer was, well, I don't know. What Pogo said it's illegal. I guess it's illegal then. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Kraus, I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to just tell you how it is. There ain't not one of these tech guys have enough balls to actually tech somebody that's got money and influence in the sport. They don't tech those people. Them people are off limits. There's certain people that are off limits. Okay. And we know that there is shit going on with some of these cars that is very questionable. They're never going to get looked at. They only screw with the little people because they feel strong enough to pick on the little guys and not on the big guys. That is a fact, because there's certain people that you tech them and the money pit runs out. They're not going to tech their cars because they got money coming in. That's bullshit, right? And you got to have the right people. You got to have the right person doing the job. And right now we just do not have that. So that's enough on that. I got one thing for Kraus here. Mike. So this is from Mike. Kraus, You need thicker fucking glasses. Kraus, are you blind? What the hell what are you talking about? Looking at my laps, looking at the live timing at the Wiota 100 in the late model feature and saying that Mike Gresseth never had the lead. What are you looking at? On the deal on my race pass on live timing, it has Mike Gresseth leading lap 20, lap 21, and lap 22. He led them 3 laps. And I confirmed it. He's not wrong. He's like, Kraus, better glasses there, guy. You need to go see Troy Powers, right? You need to go get some better lenses because Gresseth was absolutely leading those 3 laps. So there's a little love for Coach Kraus right there.
I had looked and it only had him in second place. So I don't know. Maybe you guys were looking at a different spot, but when I pulled it up, it was second. So, well, if it was 3 laps, then like really Wiota, you know what I mean? It's all done by live timing,
Right.
but
right.
if they went by video, he shouldn't have been the leader. That was the right call. But there's no way he led 3 laps and then didn't put him in the lead. There's no way. Zero chance he led 3 laps and they didn't put him in the lead.
Well, Kraus, are you on your computer or on your phone?
I'm on my phone.
Okay. So that is something for you to take a look at because I did look. He's not wrong. That did happen. So, all right. So he had to give you a little shit. Rapid fire recaps brought to you by our friends at Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. So they are very passionate. Buck, of course, in the Hall of Fame for lubricants, the Nassau Hall of Fame, a lot smarter than me, very passionate about helping people in the racing community get more performance and durability out of the products they run. Everything from your gear oil to engine lubricants, power steering fluids, tranny fluids, grease, tire treatments, tire cleaners. They got a ton of products. You're going to want to call Chad at 507-828-3536 or look them up online, Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants, to get more information about all the great products they have to offer. Kraus, what do you pay right now? I guess I know the answer to this. It's about $150 per tire for a super stock tire right now in our area after tax. Do you know what they're paying out in Montana? Now, keep in mind, they do not have sales tax in Montana, okay? So how much do you think they're paying out at like drivers that race at Big Sky, Gallatin? What do you suppose they're paying? Keep in mind, no sales tax. What do you think they're paying for a super stock mod tire?
Well, what are they right now? 134?
Something like that, yeah.
Plus tax here. So I get them siped, so mine come whatever. Well, they should. Well, depend. Well, here's a stupid thing. Now with the Hoosier charging the vendor the shipping deal, which is BS. Hoosier making more money off our poor little vendors that can hardly. Half of them don't even have a shop to store tires in, Bert. But now Hoosier's sending an extra surplus charge or what? There's a surplus charge, there's a shipping charge and all this and that, which is straight BS, which actually comes out of the racer's pocket at the end of the day. So I don't know what they should spend. And they shouldn't be. I lived in Montana. I know there's no sales tax out there. So it should be, well, it should be $134.
They pay $175 for a tire out there.
Non-site, just a regular tire.
Regular tire, $175 because of all the shipping and all them extra costs that you're talking about. Dude, street stock features out there pay $250 to win. $175. So I'm looking at this going, is it worth it? Maybe a guy just looks at Daytona 1 products and they're like, look, here's the deal. I am not going to pay that kind of, and the tires are going to go up. They're paying $175 this year. I'm guessing, speculating, don't know for sure, haven't heard the numbers. I'm guessing they're going to go up to some extent. It's going to be like not even a thing, right? So I'm looking at this going, there's no way the average person can afford this. Why would you not use Daytona 1 products? At least learn about them to see if you can run your tires a little bit longer. It's worth a call to Chad to get some information because this is not a sustainable business model to be paying more for tires and just one tire at some point here than you're going to get for a feature win. That is not a thing. You can't do that. That's not a thing. So that is definitely worth looking into. That's Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. All right. Dirt Kings, Bert, came to a conclusion this past weekend. What happened to the world of Dirt Kings?
Yeah, well, no surprise. Nick Avalink was crowned the champion, was crowned the king of the Dirt Kings tour. But they raced down in Sycamore on Friday night, and Mike Spatola won that feature. And then they went up to Plymouth Dirt Track on Saturday night. And for the second weekend in a row, the leader lost the lead because they took the wrong lane in traffic. Brad Miller led the entire race until turn 3 of the final lap, and you didn't want to venture off the bottom, and he ventured off the bottom. Well, actually, entering 1, ventured off the bottom to try to pass a lap car, and Brett Swedberg ducked underneath him. And to make things worse, Miller kind of got pushed up into the wall and coming out of 4, and he rode the wall across the finish line and wound up finishing 4th.
That's painful right there. Yeah, been there. We've all been there on both sides of it, but yeah, tough deal right there. So it's going to be interesting to see, right? Now there's a lot of stuff happening with the Dirt Kings, or a lot of stuff needs to happen with the Dirt Kings. I mean, they ended the year with 2 drivers that ran all the races. There's going to be a lot of soul searching with Jason, the drivers in the area, to see how they move forward in 2025. It's been a great series overall, so I'd like to see it maybe make some changes and make this thing go again.
And down in Sycamore, I mean, basically, there was like 7 Shawano. When I say Shawano, it's Shawano area drivers, 3 Plymouth area drivers, and the rest were from the Illinois area. So they had like 18 cars.
Right. Coach,
I got a question for Bert. Is the Dirt King engine rules now, is that straight super late model rules, or are they restricted?
Their rules are set up where they can a variety of different engine combinations can be raced. Like Wiota cars can be raced, and open motors can be raced. They have to add 50 pounds to the mid plate or something like that. I don't know the exact rules, but they try to bring all the different combinations in and try to make them equal somehow.
It's similar. I don't know that it's the same, but it's a similar concept to what Tri-State, to where they limit this and they do this, and they have a lot of different combinations. Sounds like several of those drivers are pretty much running with Wiota legal stuff already, and then there's a few that I think Scheffler's probably got open stuff that's restricted because he'll jump down to Illinois. So it's kind of a mix of both.
And I believe Mike Mullen has an open motor, or at least he did earlier in the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anything else on rapid fire? I got a couple little things here. Anything else on rapid fire recaps? Anything that stuck over the past weekend? Either one? Mike Nichols, I want to congratulate him on a great career. So Mike Nichols, a very accomplished Midwest mod driver over from Watertown, races, Casino Speedway. He runs I-94. He's ran all over the place over in that direction. I think I-94 Casino were his home tracks this year. Made the decision over the past weekend, obviously the decision was made, but he announced over this weekend that Sunday was his last time holding a steering wheel. I'm not saying he's not going to get in, maybe drive for somebody, and that might all change, but sounds like he's got another kiddo on the way. He's got one. So it sounds like Mike Nichols, one of the best Midwest mod drivers over there for a number of years, going to be hanging up the steering wheel. So congratulations to him. And kind of a cool deal. Tommy Nichols won the final race at Casino. Mike Nichols got second. Pretty emotional down in victory lane. First and second, great way to cap that off. I'm guessing Mikey probably would have rather been first than second, but if he's going to lose, it might as well be to his brother. Did you see who's going to race late model at Brownstown this week?
I did see that. Don O'Neill is going to be in the Masters built house car. We're back in the 1990s?
Bend your steel, Don O'Neill. Kraus, what are the odds that he somehow, some way screws up one of the final four drivers and gets in their way, spins out in front of them, causes a wreck when one of them passes for position? Is he going to have some kind of a negative impact just by existing on the racetrack at this point?
Well, I seen the Masters built house car go around the track the last few years, so I don't think he's going to make the show. B, I don't think the car is going to be able to compete. But knowing his attitude, I think he's going to give it a whirl. There's no doubt about it. I don't think he's going to hop in the car and get embarrassed. I really don't think he's that type of guy. So, I don't know. Maybe he's a little mad. His boy's not in the Final Four and something's going to go down. Hopefully he does something stupid, because we could use some clicks on our Facebook page these days.
Can you imagine him punting RTJ or something? Oh my God. So it'll be interesting to watch. The guy's won a ton of races, obviously very accomplished. So it'll be interesting to see him back in action this week at Brownstown. Kai Blight, though, a guy we're not going to see in action anymore. Sounds like they did not renew his visa now. And so it sounds like he's going to just be racing. He's Australia, right? Is where he is. I don't know. It seems bullshit to me, right? So racing, it's a sport. You're an athlete as a racer. We've seen some of us, right? We're not maybe athletes or whatever, but I mean, you look at baseball, you look at NBA, they don't have a problem getting a freaking visa to stay over here and play in the States. Why is this a deal? I don't understand why. Now, I know that, remember, J-Mac had an issue. He had a hard time getting back over here as well. Is there, I don't know, I guess I haven't paid enough attention. Is there something going on with Australia and the United States? I wouldn't think so. But are you surprised that they're screwing with his visa like that, not letting him come back over? It's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, you mentioned other sports. I mean, when spring training starts for baseball, there are instances where a foreign player has problems with getting their visa, but it's usually resolved in a week. For them to just deny it and say that's it, I mean, that is surprising to me. And I mean, he could just go to the southern border, cross the border, and the government will fly him to the track. He could try that route.
That is valid. Truer words have not been spoken by the sassy Burt Lehman over here. All right.
Yeah, that visa deal, Ryan, that visa deal goes back. It got really hard with visas over COVID during the COVID deal. And a lot of countries, it was a disaster with hockey players. And then I know you remember the Russian hockey players last couple of years with the war going on and stuff was also a really strict deal. Kaprizov was stuck over there. Ovechkin, a bunch of guys wanted to go back home and see their families. Well, getting back, a lot of the, and while the Russian mafia over there runs everything, so they're saying, no, we're not coming. So, I mean, I even ran into it with hockey players. A lot of the hockey players, the European hockey players that come over there, they were forced to get student visas instead of getting a work visa. Just because then they say, I'm going to one of your colleges. Well, of course, oh yeah, there's $100,000 in the bank. Of course you can come over. So it doesn't surprise me. I thought a lot of the stuff was over. Super interesting with Australia, though. I don't know what's going on down there with visas and things like that. So, like I said, with sports and visas and players, I got a little bit of. I've done them in the past. I got a Canadian kid on my team, and I had to send a letter to him for him just to get over the border. Hey, where are you going? Well, here's a letter from, Jeff Krause, head coach of the Alexandria Blizzard. I'm going to play hockey in Alexandria, Minnesota. Here's who I'm staying with. Here's who I'm living. So just for him to get over the border, I had to send a letter to get him across the border up in Alberta. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with COVID, with terrorism and all that stuff. There's more to it than just, hey, I'm going over to drive a race car. I'm going over to play hockey or do whatever it is. There's a lot to it these days.
Huh, interesting. That's learn something new every day. So tough break for Kai Blight. Good luck over there, and maybe someday we'll get him back over in the States. He did get his first win over here in the late model not too long ago, so I think things were turning around. He was finding some speed. So Bert, let's go back to you. Who's hot, who's not?
Well, I'll leave the low hanging fruit for you guys, and I'll say Rico is hot. He had a pretty good run down in Eldora, and locally, I'll say Swedberg because he won the Dirt Kings.
How about not?
Not hot. I don't know nationally, but locally, I'm gonna leave Brad Miller on this list because
Kick him while he's down. All right.
it wasn't that long ago that he hit a big tire at Anigo, and then the next night he pulled in on the white flag lap, and last week he lost the lead. So we still like you, Brad, but I'm gonna put you on the not hot list.
Coach Kraus, who's hot, who's not?
Well, Bert, I mean, obviously it's Bobby Pierce. I mean, he's mopping up everybody right now. It's a good chance he may not lose a race the rest of the year because he's just flat out dominating everything right now. Got to give a shout out to Dave Kane. Went north of the border and took care of business up there. He's been good. Landon Atkinson's been good. Got the win over there, over that place in wherever that Sauk Rapids place is over there. Got to give him a shout out. He's been good, and he's been beating the 60 car. So super interesting to see what happens there this weekend. Good to see the Brower boys doing well right now, still winning races and doing well. They want that 1-2 finish so much there. It's good to see those guys doing well. The not hot list wins. Ryan, you'll know that. When's the last time David Simpson's won a feature?
Before the 100, right? I mean, obviously.
And I know he's, like I said, I think he's going to get that deal wrapped up, but it'd be nice to.
It's over. That's clinched.
It's over and clinched. It'd be nice for him to get a win, a big win. I'd like to see it. He's been there. There's no doubt about it. So,
Northern Nationals, right? Didn't he win from like way back at the Northern Nationals? I think he won from deep the week before the 100.
The week before, yeah, I think he did. He started. Someone was raving about 3rd and 19th or something like that.
Way back.
And drove through the field. So, other than that, I don't really have. I don't have anybody else on the not hot list.
Hot, I got, you talked about Browers, obviously Bobby Pierce, Cole Chernosky, back-to-back wins up there and a second place. That second place gained him points in the national standings. That actually became a keeper. So Cole Chernosky literally just on the doorstep of winning a national championship in his rookie year in the Wiota Modifieds. He is close. That would be good for that. I mean, that city deserves it, right? The culture they have at the Thunder City Speedway and the fan base and the passion they have to have not one but 2 drivers with a chance to win an Addy. Ashley Anderson has been just super good and consistent at invite time. And I'm just going to go with that modified points battle. I mean, that is the battle left. I mean, that is the strongest battle right now in the national standings in Wiota, the modified points battle. Of course, Chernosky leading the way, Stearns right there, Sobrasky right there, Buzzy with an outside chance depending on what he does this weekend. I don't know if he's completely thrown in the towel or not, but that point battle is still up for grabs. Not hot, stupid, unnecessary rules that Wiota keeps creating. Fun killing tech guys. I mean, let's relax a little bit, quit picking on the little guys and ruining racing for everybody. RTJ, every time we put him on the not hot list, he gets faster. So we'll see what happens this weekend. But boy, he's kind of on the outside looking in. And then Pat Dorr. Pat Dorr has had an awful season. He's had a couple shining moments, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, he didn't race. I don't think he was at Menominee, right? I'm pretty sure he wasn't there. He didn't race. He didn't race Labor Day weekend, right? So, I mean, Pat Dorr's season was so bad that he's looking at it going like 2024 sucked. and I going to be looking towards 2025, I would assume. But Pat Dorr, I never in a million years would Pat Dorr randomly miss invitational weekends in September, and that's just a sign of how his season has gone. I think he's ready for it to be over. So let's jump on to the 2024 Pick'ems, brought to you by our friend Brad Parson Soil and Ag Solutions. So if you're in Western Minnesota, the Dakotas, if you're looking to be more profitable in farming, it's all about having the right products in your spray packages, and he has some great products out there. I talked to several people that have the data. They've actually used his product, had great results, higher yields, which means more money. And his number, 320-219-3542. Get a hold of Brad, learn more about the products he has, and let him help you be more successful in 2025. So last week, shout out to Worker Bee. So Brad, Worker Bee, and myself, by the way, kicked in a little money. So the top person in the points at the end of the year going to be able to sponsor a car, maybe two, for 2025. We're going to take that money, give it back to the racer. And Worker Bee, plus 31 on the week. Man Bun Dan, plus 27. Changa and I, plus 25. So good weekend for Kent there. Congrats to him. Our standings right now, Changa is 373, 4 points ahead of me. I'm second at 369. Curtis at 366. Worker Bee with that big week jumped up into the top 5. He's fourth at 315. The Uper, our statistician, 304. Dano 303. Kraus, I don't know how I feel about this one, but Man Bun Dan 295, Coach 294. You can't lose to you can't lose to him. What are you doing? Come on, get it together. Like, you can't lose to Dan. Bromance 266 and Beefcake 243. So Changa leading the way. Bert,
where am I?
I did not say your name. Yeah, you're somewhere in the mix. I'm
not having good weeks, so it's probably best you don't.
You're forgotten. That's a donkey word. I don't know why I didn't write that down. I evidently skipped that one. It must have been off. So Bert, I guess we'll have to take a look. I think he sent it to us. You might know where you're at. Are you?
No, I don't know where I'm at. I had the worst week. I had the worst week of anybody last week, so I'm falling.
Boy, the two-time champ not having a good one. So this week we got a handful of races. It's getting less and less. We got a handful of races we're picking. I'm going to show them off quickly. We'll say who we got. So Castro Flow Racing Night in America, Brownstown, Indiana, Wednesday. Bert, Coach, me. Who do you guys got?
Buddy.
Haven't made any of my picks, Ryan. I got no clue who's racing. Haven't even looked at it, so you can just skip me. But Bobby Pierce is winning any race he's in, so I don't know who you're picking, Bert.
Yeah, I got Pierce as well. I agree. So all right, so Lucas Oil. You kind of have an idea who's going to be racing the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model shows at Brownstown Friday and Saturday. Bert, who do you got?
Moran ×2. Coach?
Ooh, Moran, huh? Oh boy, you can't. I'm gonna go. I'm going RTJ for both of them. It's RTJ time. Money's on the line. He's pissed off about last year. It's RTJ time.
That could definitely happen. We put him on the not hot list, so he's probably gonna. I got Moran ×2 as well. World of Outlaw Late Model is heading down south to Louisiana to Boot Hill Speedway and Rocket Raceway Park Friday and Saturday on Dirt Vision. Bert.
Pierce ×2.
Just skip it.
Yep, Pierce ×2, Pierce ×2, Pierce ×2. That's kind of a no-brainer. Now, Brian Shirley's been good, but not Bobby Pierce good. It just is what it is. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars heading to Ohio, Wayne County and Sharon, Friday and Saturday. Bert?
Macedo ×2.
Coach?
I gotta get Donnie rolling here. We gotta get our boy some wins. We gotta get Donnie shots to win. So I'm gonna pick him and try to give him some luck both nights.
Hopefully he wins. We'll cheer for him, but I'm going to go with I'm trying to win this contest, so I'm going to take Carson Macedo ×2 as well. All right. High Limit Sprints heading to Florence, Kentucky, Saturday. Bert.
Rico's
staying hot.
Corey Day is going to be my pick at Florence this week. He said he was super excited to get there, and it's a track that he's really enjoyed watching races at. So I'm going with the young gun, Corey Day. 49th annual Red Clay Classic, ABC Raceway, Ashland, Wisconsin. Heats on Friday, features on Saturday. Little party on Thursday night at the Neighborly. You want to probably join that. So late models, modified, super stocks, and Midwest mods. Bert.
Hopefully these drivers are there. Late models, Ashley Anderson, mods, Sabraski, supers, Terrence Basic, and Midwest mods, Joey Jensen.
I would say they're all going to be there.
Okay.
Coach?
We're going Sabraski in the late models. Going with my buddy Brandon Kopp in the mods. SpaceX winning the supers. And is Joey Jensen racing? His car's for sale.
He's going to be there. He'll be at the Red Clay.
He is going to be there.
Yep.
Then we're going to take Joey Jensen.
I'm going to take Ashley Anderson, Sabraski, Joey Jensen. That's who I have on that. Madtown Showdown, Madison Speedway, doubleheader, Friday and Saturday, Madison, Minnesota. Street stocks, Midwest mods, super stocks, modifieds. Bert.
All right, which one are we doing first? Well,
you can do whichever order. We'll know what
okay,
it is.
all right. Hopefully these guys are there. Streeters, Colton Brower ×2. Supers, Trevor Nelson ×2. Mods, Nate Heinrich ×2. Midwest mods, Jake Molitor on Friday, Derek Reek on Saturday.
Okay. I would say pretty good odds. Heinrich broke. I don't know what happened, if he's going to be farming, but I would assume he'll be there. That's one of his home tracks. So, Coach Kraus, what do you got?
We're going Vogel both nights. We're going Brian Hobbin both nights. I'm going to go, who's that lead me with? We're going to go Trevor Nelson both nights. And Midwest mods. Who's going to win the Midwest mods, Bert? That could be a crapshoot there. Boy, I don't have anybody picked right now. I can't think off the top of my head. So I'll have to pass on that and figure out who's going to win that.
All right, I'm going Colton Brower ×2, Derek Reek ×2, Trevor Nelson ×2, and Superman Mike Stearns ×2. And if that happens, that point lead is probably going to be his. Chernovsky sounds like he's also heading to Madison. So that if you're a national points person, that's going to be a fun one to watch. Stearns versus Chernovsky, and both of them with an opportunity to win it all. Silver 1000 up at the Proctor Speedway Thursday night, Proctor, Minnesota. Late models and modifieds, Bert.
Late models, Daryl Nelson. Modifieds, Johnny Broking.
Okay.
Sabraski in the late model, and Dave Kane in the mod.
All right. I'm going to take Ashley Anderson in the late models and the Hermantown Hammer Daryl Nelson in the modifieds. This one right here is an interesting one because I have no idea who's going to be there. 141 Speedway on Thursday has a $1,500 to win late model show. Bert.
Nick Avalink.
Did you confirm? Is he going?
I have not confirmed if he's going or not.
I don't know if he is either. I'm guessing if he goes there, you go to Ashland probably Friday, Saturday.
He practiced there last week.
Pretty
on
good
practice
odds.
night. So
okay. So Nick Avalink, Coach.
I got no idea. They're probably going to run hot laps and then line up whoever wins hot laps and run a 10-lap A feature, and then that's going to be your $1,500 because it's at 141.
Oh boy! All right. I got Mike Mullen. I'm taking Mike Mullen to get her done up there, and then the track there just right by St. Cloud, modifieds, B mods, and super stocks.
Mods, Zach Benson. B mods, Corey Merworth. And supers, Dexton Cook.
Coach?
Oh boy. I haven't even really thought about this. I haven't thought about it, Ryan. It's going to be interesting. My big thing is I don't know who's going to be there with Ashland. You know, that's a great purse, and all these USMTS guys coming. Brandon Davis is coming. There's a bunch of guys.
Okay, good.
I saw his post. I'm pretty sure he was coming up there. He's like, I got it for the purse. It's a no-brainer if you're in a modified and you're close. So, going to be super interesting to see who shows up. But it's going to be super tough to beat Dan Ebert. He's been running fast, so I got to take Ebert. Super stocks, we're going with the next door neighbor, Jordan Hankemeyer. He's gonna make sure, do a bolt check, Jordan, please, before the feature, so we make sure your car finishes. I know it's that time of year. Don't follow in your dad's footsteps. Make sure you check some things out there. And then Midwest mods, boy, I want to take like a dark horse. You know what I mean? I want to take somebody who is going to be random. So I don't have anybody yet, but I'll come up with something. I'm going to go like a dark horse to win that deal.
That is a big paying deal. Granite City Open, 10 grand to win the mods, open mods, 5 grand to win open B mods, 2 grand to win with Soda Super Stocks. Landon Atkinson in the mods, Dexton Cook in the supers, and Lucas Rodin in the B mods. That's who I have. All right. 3 bold predictions, Kraus, brought to you by
Elevate-visual.com. Brandon is a licensed drone service provider. He also does video editing for commercials for your business, any sort of video production. Make sure you get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com. He also has a Facebook page.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon, for all you do. So we had a few come off the board this week. What we do is we make 3 racing-related predictions every single week. And if it's not something that's an opinion-based deal. It's either it did happen or didn't happen. We keep track of our statistics. We keep track of correct predictions, correct percentage predictions. So, Bert, you had a few come off the board here this week. Cole Chernosky will win A-mains in 2 different divisions in Thunder Bay. That was not the case. Close. He had second one night in the mod, but he only won in the super. You said that would be an Adams sweep at the Punky. Blake Adams, Buzzy Adams. Well, you were screwed out of the get-go because Blake did not go. He went to Granite, and Buzzy, he kind of yard sailed the car and did not finish. Then you said RTJ, this is an old one here, RTJ, Marlar, Moran, and JD would be your final 4. That did not happen. RTJ, Moran, JD, not Marlar, though. Of course, we have T-Mac in there. And then Kraus, I don't know what we got to do about this one. This fucking guy, I tell you. All right. So episode 215, Hudson O'Neal is going to make the final 4. Last week's show, Hudson O'Neal is not going to make the final 4. What?
Who did that?
That was Bert. So congratulations. Yeah, way to go on hedging your bet there, Bert. Good job. Yeah, clearly you got 1 wrong and 1 correct. Congratulations, John. Well, that's a new strategy, right? There's going to be races tomorrow. Pick number 2. There's not going to be races tomorrow. Oh, good job. Way to go. Congratulations. So had to give Bert a little shit on that one. I had a couple come off the board. First one, I said I overreacted clearly after Speed Weeks. I said Dalton Wilson is going to make the final 4 because he looked good at Speed Weeks, and it all ended right there. And he is not in the final 4. And then I said Team USA would win 50% or more of the A-mains between the mods, Midwest mods, and supers up in Thunder Bay. They won 4 of 6. Dave Kane with 2, Tyler Vernon, William Moulter. Those were the 4 winners. Chernosky was the 2 from Team Canada. So that was correct. Uper had 3 come off the board. He said Bobby Pierce and RTJ, neither one of them would finish on the podium this week at Knoxville. Tip of the cap to Uper there. That was bold. Stupid, but bold. That was incorrect. 33C, Cole Chernosky is going to have a minimum of 3 A-main wins this past weekend. He got 2. I thought maybe he'd run the B mod, but he did not. He only ran the 2 classes. And then he said T-Mac will make the final 4, which he did, so that is correct. Coach, you had 3 come off the board as well. You said it would be a Longhorn sweep of the top 5 at Knoxville. That was not the case. It was not the case. You said the top 3 in late models at the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede would be drivers that were NLRA top 3. that was not the case. Michelson won, and he was not an NLRA guy. But you did say Wisconsin drivers would sweep victory lane at the Punky. And all 5 winners there were Wisconsin drivers. You got that correct. And then we had one last one from the peanut gallery here. Hudson and T-Mac will both miss the Final Four. Nope. T-Mac made it. So as far as correct predictions go, Uper's leading the way at 27. I'm at 20. The peanut gallery, Bert, and Coach are all at 19. As far as correct percentages go, Uper leading the way at 32.1. I am second at 25.6. Coach third at 23.5. The peanut gallery. So the peanut gallery is fans can submit if they have some predictions. Kenny did not get them in this week. A lot of times he sends them in. But they're at 22.4, and Bert, you're at 21.3. So let's end the show here with 3 bold. Sometimes Bert makes them, so they're not bold predictions. And we'll make 3 laps around the track here. So we'll go Bert, Coach, Uper, and myself. Bert, what do you got?
Well, apparently my predictions must be too bold because I'm not getting any right.
Right? Maybe you just go with that strategy. Make a prediction and then make the opposite one on the next prediction, and maybe you'll kind of be back in the game here.
All right. Hopefully we can be able to figure this out, but I will say that in the Lucas Oil Late Model Series, in these next 7 races to finish the season, Hudson O'Neal will have more points than the 4 drivers in the championship round.
Wow, then all 4. Okay. Wow. All right. That is bold. So out of the 7-point races, Hudson O'Neal will have a better point total in them 7 races than the 4 drivers that actually made the Final Four chase. All right. I like it. Coach?
I'm going Bobby Pierce. Sounds like he'll be racing, 3 times this week?
Yep.
He's going to sweep everything. Qualifying, heat race win, and feature win. He's sweeping everything. So he's got to be quick time. He's got to win the heat and win the feature in all 3 events. Sweeping everything.
Being that you made that prediction, we're not even going to count this next one because Uper had one, but it was a little less bold. He didn't go with the full sweep. So you can't have the same prediction and have it less bold in a count. He was going to say Bobby Pierce wins all the features that he races this week. Well, yours is more bold. So Uper, I'm sorry. That one is off the board. You only got 2 this week. It is what it is. So his first one is going to be Shane Sabraski. No podiums at the red clay for the 7A. That's bold. That, again, stupid, but bold. Okay, all right. I am going to go Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. The Final 4 in points are going to look exactly like this. Devin Moran, Tim McCready, Jonathan Davenport, Ricky Thornton Jr. is going to get 4th. Moran, T-Mac, JD, RTJ, your top 4 in Lucas standings at the conclusion of 2024. Bert, your second one.
I'm gonna go to the Madtown Showdown and say of the 4 divisions that we pick, Street Supers, Mods, and Midwest Mods, that at least 2 of the divisions will have repeat winners both nights.
Okay. I like it. Coach?
I'm going up to Ashland. Late models, modified super, Midwest mods, correct?
Yep.
I'm going to say, just to put a little, I'm going to say there's going to be all non-regular Ashland cars, or let me rephrase that. All non-regulars are going to win in Ashland. So to put a little thing on that, nobody in the top finishing 5 points at Ashland will win this weekend at Ashland. Make
Nobody
sense?
in the top 5 track points at Ashland
Correct.
will finish in the top 5. So they don't have late models. So that'd be mods, supers, Midwest mods. So none
Correct.
of their. So basically, Coach, you're saying that fuck Ashland people. You don't like Ashland. I'm not saying this. I like you guys, right? We have a sponsor there. Mad disrespect here, right? To the Ashland drivers. I got to literally. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You actually picked Brandon Kopp to win, so I'm just saying.
Hey,
All right.
you got to have a little fun with people. You got to get the blood boiling. You got to hopefully somebody sit and stand saying that screw that Coach Kraus. I hope all the locals went up there. It's all hey, it's all about drive. It's all about promoting. You got to promote, Ryan.
Motivating factor. Motivating factor. All right, Coach is little hate there on the Ashland drivers. All right, Uper's second, or I guess final prediction, because he doesn't have a third one because Coach sniped him. Silver 1000. The late model feature winner will be a first-time Silver 1000 late model feature winner. So whoever wins the late models, it'll be the first time they win the late models. My second one, God, Bert sniped me on this one. So my second one was going to be Huddy actually has a better average finish than RTJ and all the points, and he has a better average finish than all of them. So I can't do that one. So I will go a parlay here between the red clay and the silver 1000. At least 50% of the drivers that finish on the podium Thursday at the silver will also finish on the podium at the red clay. So there's lates and mods at Proctor. So at least 50% of those 6 podium drivers will be on the podium also at the red clay. All right, Bert, third and final lap around the track.
Is this the last Castro race?
Oof. I guess I'm not positive. I don't have
Okay,
it in front of me.
well, I'll because I think Pierce is up on RTJ by 3 points. So I will say that after this upcoming race, RTJ will be leading the Castro standings.
After this upcoming race, RTJ is going to be leading the Castro standings.
Yes.
Who did you pick in your pick'ems to win that race?
Huddy.
Oh, okay. So, all right, you didn't take Pierce. All right, fair enough. All right, RTJ taking the point lead in the Castro series. All right, Coach, your second or your third prediction here.
We're going to Madison, Minnesota, the Mad Town Showdown. I should maybe go back and race that place, Ryan. I think the last 5 times I've been there, I won. Maybe I should just go back and race there, maybe pick up a win or something. But out of the 4 main classes, mods, supers, Midwest mods, street stocks, I'm going to go opposite of what Bert's going to do here. I'm going to say no repeat winners at Madison in those 4 classes.
Okay. I'm going to go with a big parlay here. So Uper doesn't get a third prediction because he's sniped. But I'm going to go with a big parlay here. So these drivers, I got 7 drivers here. Daryl Nelson, Ashley Anderson, Lucas Rodin, Colton Brower, Shane Sabraski, Mike Stearns, Rob Petroff. All 7 of these drivers will have at least 1 podium this weekend. Now, keep in mind, a couple of these drivers probably only going to race 1 race. So there is that. So all 7 drivers will have at least 1 podium, and the combination of these drivers will result in at least 4 feature wins on top of that. So those 7 drivers will all finish on the podium at least once this week. And the combination of those 7 will result in at least 4 feature wins on the weekend. So we'll go with a big parlay there and see if we can either jinx some people or give them some luck. So any closing thoughts, anything we missed, anything else that you want to touch on? I know I'm particularly excited for the Silver 1000 on Thursday and the Red Clay Classic. I actually I enjoy the Madtown Showdown too. I got to announce at that race one time down there, so that was a heck of a lot of fun. And what are you guys looking forward to most this weekend?
The Red Clay Classic's always, I mean, it's one of the well-known special end of the year specials. So that actually, with streaming now, I was able to. I've never attended in person, but I've watched it the last couple of years of streaming. So they put on a good show there.
The features were really good last year. The features were good at the XR race earlier this year too. So yeah, they get some moisture in that place. The heats can be a little bit treacherous, a little bit narrow, but by the time feature time comes around, they've had that place on point the last few times I watched it for sure. Coach, hockey this week?
Yeah, just one game Saturday down in Rochester. So I'll be Thursday I'll be watching. Friday I'll be watching. Give me a little something to watch on the bus trip. Hopefully on the way home after a victory. Watch some racing. Did that last weekend, and just getting excited for this late model stuff. We're wrapping up Lucas Oil and World Outlaws coming up here. They're going to be in Charlotte before you know it. All of a sudden, boom, you get all of a sudden through this. So interested to see that points battle. And then obviously now we're getting into the Final Four at Lucas. And obviously we all know what happened with the Lucas deal last year. Obviously it's not going to be that exciting. We're not going to be jumping up and down.
Maybe.
We could be. I'm hoping we are. So it'll be interesting to see how this format plays out. And it's another live and learn. It's kind of a crash test dummy type thing too. So see what happens. But I think there's a lot of money on the line. Hopefully I want to see some fireworks.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if hopefully the weather cooperates down south, and we'll see if old Bobby Pierce can close the gap on Brandon Shepard down there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. Of course, border battle week in football. And I guess thanks for everybody tuning in. Give us your comments, any questions you might have. Thanks to all the great sponsors. As always, I'm Ryan. That is Coach. That is Bert. And Coach, I think we end it this way. Bert, fuck the Packers.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave a review and subscribe. It is Puka. And Goat Sports has another show out there by podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. It's the Tea with Miss McGill show. Covers hockey, high school hockey in northern Minnesota. So if you're into hockey, you can find us on podcast under Tea with Miss McGill. You can find us on YouTube or Facebook, Goat Sports Media LLC. Yours truly and Coach Reed Larson. We break it down every week. We also do some interesting interviews. We'd love to have you. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch you next week.